The massive Imperial survey ship drifted silently at the edge of an unexplored solar system. Its sleek, purple-tinted hull reflected the distant starlight as the crew inside went about their routine border patrol duties. On the bridge, First Observer Smith watched the incoming data with growing interest. "Captain, you need to see this," he called out, his four-fingered hand gesturing at the holographic display. Captain Reed of the Imperial Survey Force floated over, his anti-gravity boots making soft clicking sounds against the metal floor. His gray skin wrinkled around his eyes as he studied the readings. "A developing civilization?" he asked, mandibles clicking in curiosity. "Yes, sir, but there's something odd about them," Smith replied, bringing up more detailed scans. "They've only recently reached their moon, but look at their military development." The holographic display showed Earth's orbital stations, satellites, and the scattered debris of past space missions. But what caught the captain's attention was the number of military satellites and the clear signs of weapon testing in their planet's orbit. "Send this to High Command," Reed ordered. "This requires their attention." Within hours, the Imperial High Council gathered in their grand chamber on the Empire's capital world. 12 ancient beings sat around a circular table, their bodies wrapped in ornate robes that sparkled with embedded technology. "A primitive species," Council member Blake scoffed, waving a dismissive hand at the surveillance footage. "They've barely left their atmosphere. They pose no threat to the Empire." Admiral Jones, a veteran of 1,000 campaigns, leaned forward, his cybernetic eye weird as it focused on the data. "Look closer," he said, his voice carrying the weight of experience. "Their military development doesn't follow the standard pattern." "Explain," demanded the council leader. "Most species develop space travel first, then military applications," Jones pointed out. "These humans, they've been developing weapons alongside everything else. Their history shows constant warfare, continuous adaptation. They've turned their entire planet into a testing ground for combat tactics." The council leader's expression remained neutral, but there was a hint of concern in his voice. "Your recommendation?" "Standard procedure would be to send a warning shot," Blake interrupted. "Show them our power, demand their submission. It's worked for 10,000 years." Admiral Jones shook his head slowly. "I advise caution. These humans, something about them feels different. Their military satellites aren't just defensive. They're studying combat in space, preparing for it. They expect conflict." "Are you suggesting," Blake laughed, "that this primitive species could pose a threat to the Empire? We who have conquered half the galaxy." The council chamber fell silent as surveillance footage played on the main screen. It showed humans conducting military exercises, testing weapons, their ships practicing maneuvers that made no sense to Imperial tacticians. "Look at their training," Jones insisted. "They're not following any standard combat doctrine. Every unit seems to operate differently. It's chaos. But organized chaos." "Enough," the council leader declared. "We follow standard procedure. Send the Third Fleet to their system. Show them our power, demand their submission. If they resist, crush them. We've done this 1,000 times before." As the council members filed out, Admiral Jones remained in his seat, studying the footage of human military exercises. His cybernetic eyes zoomed in on a particular scene, a small human force defeating a larger one through unexpected tactics. "Computer," he spoke softly, "calculate the probability of standard Imperial tactics succeeding against this type of warfare." The computer hummed for a moment before responding. "Insufficient data. Human combat patterns do not match any known species. Traditional probability models cannot be applied." Jones nodded slowly, his fears confirmed. As he stood to leave, he sent one last message to his fleet commanders. "Be careful with these humans. They fight like nothing we've ever seen." In Earth's orbit, the Imperial survey ship prepared to depart. Captain Reed looked one last time at the blue planet below. "Send the standard warning message," he ordered. As the message beamed toward Earth, Reed couldn't shake the feeling that they were making a terrible mistake. On the planet below, Millions of radar screens suddenly lit up with the signature of the departing Imperial ship. The first contact had been made. The countdown to war had begun. And humanity, unlike any species before it, was ready. The United Nations Security Council met in an underground bunker, far below New York City. The room was silent as they watched the alien message play for the 10th time. Submit to the Empire or face destruction, the translated message stated simply. The hologram showed massive warships, planets being destroyed, and civilizations falling to their knees. "They're trying to scare us," General Wilson said, breaking the silence. His weathered face showed no fear, only determination. But they made a mistake. They showed us their ships, their weapons, their tactics. The room erupted in discussion. On screens around the chamber, military leaders from every nation watched and listened. For the first time in human history, all countries agreed on one thing: Earth would not submit. High above Earth's atmosphere, Imperial Captain Reed's replacement, Captain Turner, commanded a fleet of 50 warships. Their purple hulls gleamed as they moved into attack formation. "Primitive communication detected," his communications officer reported. "The humans are broadcasting a response." Turner smiled, expecting the usual plea for mercy. Instead, the human message was short. "We respectfully decline your offer. We suggest you reconsider your position." Laughter erupted on the Imperial bridge. Turner wiped tears from his 4 eyes. "They dare to threaten us. Show them our power. Target their largest military installation." The Empire's lead ship charged its main weapon, a beam capable of vaporizing entire cities. But as the weapon powered up, something unexpected happened. "Sir," the sensor officer shouted, multiple small objects approaching at high speed. Turner looked confused. "Missiles. Their primitive weapons can't harm our shields." But these weren't normal missiles. As they approached, they split into hundreds of smaller pieces. The Imperial shields, designed to stop large impacts, didn't register the tiny fragments as threats. Thousands of micro-projectiles slipped through, peppering the hull with holes. "Impossible," Turner shouted as warning lights flashed across his bridge. "They shouldn't know about shield frequency gaps." On Earth, in the Combined Military Command, General Wilson watched the attack through advanced telescopes. "Simple physics," he mumbled. "No need for fancy energy weapons when good old-fashioned bullets work just fine." The Imperial fleet regrouped, shocked by the damage from such primitive weapons. Turner's anger grew as repair reports came in. "Launch fighters. Show them what real space combat looks like." Sleek Imperial fighters poured from the warships, their energy weapons ready to demolish Earth's defenses. But again, the humans surprised them. Instead of facing the fighters directly, Earth's small defense fleet scattered, leading the Imperial fighters on a chase through a field of seemingly broken satellites. As the Imperial ships passed through this field, the dead satellites suddenly came alive, releasing clouds of metal debris. "It's a trap," Turner realized too late. The Imperial fighters, moving at high speed, couldn't avoid the debris. Dozens of ships were damaged or destroyed by simple space junk. In the Imperial capital, the High Council watched in disbelief. "How are they doing this?" Council member Blake demanded. "They're using garbage as weapons." Admiral Jones watched silently, his cybernetic eye recording everything. "They're using their environment," he finally said. "Every piece of space debris is a potential weapon to them. They're not fighting by any rules we know." Back on Earth, military leaders celebrated their small victory. But General Wilson remained serious. "They'll be back," he warned. "And next time, they'll be ready for these tricks." The general turned to his staff. "Release War Plan Delta. Tell every nation to begin full production. If they want a war, we'll give them one they'll never forget." In orbit, Captain Turner's damaged fleet retreated to a safe distance. His pride was hurt more than his ships. "Send word to the Empire," he commanded. "Tell them the humans resist. Request reinforcements." As the message sped toward the Imperial capital, Turner watched Earth rotate below. The planet looked peaceful from up here, but now he knew better. These humans weren't like other species. They didn't fight with honor or follow expected rules of warfare. They used every dirty trick, every possible advantage. For the first time in his career, Turner felt something he'd never expected: doubt. In the depths of Earth's military bases, assembly lines roared to life. Weapons were built, soldiers trained, and plans made. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for centuries, though they hadn't known it. All their wars, all their conflicts, had been practice for this. The real war was about to begin. The Imperial fleet returned 3 days later, twice as large as before. 100 massive warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their weapons already charged. Captain Turner stood on his new flagship's bridge, ready to restore his damaged pride. "No tricks this time," he announced to his fleet. "Full attack formation. Target their major cities first." But as his ships moved forward, the space around Earth had changed. The humans had been busy during the 3-day break. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "I'm detecting thousands of small objects in orbit." Turner smiled. "Their debris field trick won't work again. Our shields are modified now." "These aren't debris, sir," the officer replied, his voice shaking. "They're moving, all of them." Suddenly, the objects came to life. Thousands of tiny satellites, each no bigger than a car, powered up. They had been painted black, hidden against the darkness of space. Now they swarmed toward the Imperial fleet like angry bees. "Impossible," Turner shouted. "They couldn't have built so many ships in 3 days." On Earth, in the underground command center, General Wilson watched through the live feed. "We didn't build them in 3 days," he said to his staff. "We built them over the last 50 years, just been keeping them hidden, waiting for a day like this." The tiny human ships darted between the massive Imperial warships. Their small size made them hard to hit, and they carried just one weapon each, a simple but powerful explosive charge. They were suicide drones, piloted by artificial intelligence. The humans are using machines to pilot their ships. Turner's second-in-command asked in horror, That's not proper warfare." The first wave of drones struck. They didn't bother with the shields, instead targeting the Imperial ship's engines and weapon ports. Each explosion was small, but with thousands of drones attacking at once, the damage added up quickly. "Launch fighters," Turner ordered. But as his fighters deployed, a new threat appeared. Large panels on Earth's surface reflected sunlight suddenly, blinding Imperial sensors. Hidden missile silos opened, but instead of missiles, they launched clouds of what looked like dust. "What trick is this now?" Turner demanded. The answer came quickly. The dust was millions of tiny metal particles, each programmed to attach to Imperial shield generators. As the particles gathered, they formed a conductive shell, shorting out the powerful shields. In the Imperial capital, the High Council watched in stunned silence. Admiral Jones finally spoke. "They're not fighting the way we expected. They're not even fighting the way we thought possible." "Send in the main fleet," Council member Blake demanded. "Crush these insects." "The main fleet is 5 days away," Jones replied calmly. "Look at what they did in 3 days. Do you want to see what they can prepare in 5? Back in Earth orbit, the battle turned ugly. Imperial ships, their shields failing, found themselves swarmed by more AI drones. Earth's traditional military forces remained hidden, letting their automated weapons do the work. Turner watched in horror as his fleet fell into chaos. "Fall back," he ordered. "Emergency retreat." But the humans had one final surprise. As the Imperial ships tried to enter faster than light speed, they discovered that the metal dust had also affected their drive systems. Many ships found themselves stranded, unable to escape. In the command center, General Wilson received reports of Imperial ships surrendering, something unheard of in the Empire's history. "Accept their surrender," he ordered. "Show them we can be merciful." The battle was over in less than 6 hours. 30 Imperial warships destroyed, 20 captured, and the rest retreating in damage. Earth's casualties. Some destroyed drones, and a few burnt-out satellite panels. Admiral Jones presented the battle analysis to the stunned High Council. This was just their first real punch, he warned. Imagine what else they've prepared. They're not just fighting with weapons. They're fighting with innovation, with tricks we've never seen. And now what? Blake asked, his voice weak. Now they've captured our ships. They'll learn our technology. And if there's one thing these humans are good at, it's learning new ways to fight. On Earth, General Wilson looked at the captured Imperial ships being towed to hidden bases. Send a message to all nations, he ordered. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why you should never underestimate a species that had spent its entire history preparing for this moment, even if they hadn't known it. Admiral Jones stood before the Imperial High Council, his cybernetic eye projecting images onto the Grand Chamber's main screen. The room was silent as thousands of years of human warfare played out before them. The Romans, Jones explained, pointing to ancient battles. They didn't just fight. They built roads to move armies faster. The Mongols didn't just fight. They changed horse riding and archery forever. World War I brought tanks and planes. World War II gave us radar and computers. Council member Blake watched in growing horror as the presentation continued. Every war they fought, they learned something new. Exactly, Jones nodded. While we perfected one way of war over thousands of years, they tried everything. Look at this. The screen showed modern special forces training. These humans fight in small teams, using surprise and skill, instead of large armies. These other humans, the image changed to guerrilla fighters. They fight by hiding, striking fast, and disappearing. But surely their space warfare can't be. Blake started. Wrong, Jones interrupted. They've been practicing space war for decades through something called video games. Millions of humans spending billions of hours thinking about how to fight in space. It was all theoretical to them, but they never stopped planning, never stopped thinking about it. In Earth orbit, human scientists studied the captured Imperial ships. General Wilson watched through secure video feeds as teams took apart alien technology. Interesting, the lead scientist reported. Their shields are perfect against large attacks, but they never thought about small ones. It's like they only expected to fight enemies who think like them. Wilson nodded. How long until we can copy their technology? We don't need to copy it exactly, the scientist smiled. We can make it better. They built it to be perfect, but we'll build it to be flexible, adaptable, just like us. Back in the Imperial capital, Jones continued his presentation. And now, the most dangerous part, human cooperation. The screen showed Earth's nations, once enemies, working together. Factories that once built cars now made spacecraft parts. Old weapons were modified with new ideas. Every human invention, every trick, every tactic was being shared and improved. In all our history, Jones explained, we've never seen a species that could unite so quickly against a common threat. They've turned their entire planet into one giant war machine. But they're still primitive, Blake protested. They barely understand faster than light travel. No, Jones corrected. They understand it differently. Look at this. The display showed human scientists testing new ideas. They weren't just copying Imperial technology. They were changing it, combining it with their own ideas. We use faster than light travel like a road, Jones explained. They're trying to use it like their old submarines used the ocean, for sneak attacks, for hiding, for surprise. They don't think like us, and that's what makes them dangerous. In a hidden base under Earth's ocean, proof of Jones's words was taking shape. The first human-designed spaceship incorporating Imperial technology was almost ready. It wasn't beautiful like Imperial ships. It was ugly, practical, built for war. The Empire builds every ship the same way, Wilson told his officers as they inspected the new ship. We'll build every ship differently. They won't know what they're fighting until it's too late. The High Council chamber erupted in argument. Some wanted to surrender, others wanted to send the entire Imperial fleet immediately. You don't understand. Jones raised his voice. Sending the fleet now would be walking into their trap. They've had time to study us, to plan. And humans are best at war when they're the underdogs. Then what do we do? Blake asked, real fear in his voice. We could try talking to them, Jones suggested. Treat them as equals. Equals. Blake laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. They're primitive. No, Jones said quietly. We're the primitive ones. We stopped evolving, stopped adapting. We've done things the same way for 10,000 years. They've never stopped changing, never stopped improving. On Earth, the new ship rose from its underwater base. It looked nothing like any spacecraft ever built. It was humanity's first real warship, but it wouldn't be the last. General Wilson watched it rise. Send word to all commands, he ordered. Stage 2 is complete. Begin Stage 3. The Empire was about to learn why humans had survived every challenge their harsh world had thrown at them. War wasn't just something humans did. It was something they had mastered through endless adaptation and determination. The Empire's main battle fleet arrived at Earth's solar system with overwhelming force. 500 capital ships, each bigger than a small city, dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Fleet Commander Mills stood on his massive bridge, watching his armada spread out. No mistakes this time, he announced. Full power to all weapons. Show these humans what real warfare looks like. But Earth's solar system looked different now. The space between planets was filled with strange objects. Some were decoys, some were traps, and some were weapons that the Empire had never seen before. Sir, his sensor officer called out. I'm detecting mining operations on the asteroids. Mills frowned. In just a few weeks, humans had started mining operations throughout their solar system. But why? The answer came suddenly and violently. Hundreds of asteroids, now fitted with engines, began to move. The humans had turned entire space rocks into weapons. But that wasn't the worst part. Multiple ships detected. The sensor officer shouted. They're coming out of the sun's corona. Mills stared in disbelief. Human ships, protected by shields reverse-engineered from captured Imperial technology, had been hiding in the sun's outer layer. No one had ever thought to look there, because no one had ever been crazy enough to try it. Launch fighters, Mills ordered. All ships, battle formations. But human ships didn't meet them in traditional formation. Instead, they scattered across the solar system, forcing the Imperial fleet to split up to chase them. In Earth's underground command center, General Wilson watched the battle unfold on a huge 3D display. Begin Operation Hornet's Nest, he ordered. Suddenly, the scattered human ships made sense. They had led Imperial ships into kill zones. Each sector of space had been prepared with different traps. Some Imperial ships found their shields failing as they hit clouds of specially designed nanobots. Others were caught in artificial gravity wells created by hidden generators on asteroids. Still others found themselves targeted by weapons mounted on seemingly innocent civilian satellites. This is impossible, Mills shouted as reports of damage flooded in. They're not fighting properly. There's no honor in these tactics. On a captured and modified Imperial ship, Admiral Thompson of Earth's new Space Force smiled. Honor doesn't win wars, he said to his crew. Innovation does. The human ships demonstrated this perfectly. No two ships fought the same way. Some used Imperial technology modified in weird ways. Others used simple kinetic weapons that the Empire had never thought to defend against. Many used both. Sir, Mills's second-in-command reported. Their ships, they're learning from us. Each time we adapt to their tactics, they change them. This was humanity's secret weapon. Each ship carried an AI combat system, that analyzed enemy tactics and shared this information with all other ships instantly. While Imperial ships stuck to their ancient battle plans, human ships evolved their tactics minute by minute. In the Imperial capital, Admiral Jones watched the battle data with grim satisfaction. "See," he told the council, "they don't just think outside the box. They don't even see the box." The battle reached its peak when humans revealed their masterstroke. Small, unmanned ships appeared from hidden bases on every planet and moon in the solar system. They were armed with a single weapon each, but each weapon was different. "They're using our own captured technology against us." Mills realized too late. But they've changed it, improved it. The Empire's mighty fleet found itself caught in a web of different attacks. No shield setting could protect against everything. No tactic worked twice. The humans had turned space itself into a weapon. 4 hours into the battle, Mills gave an order no Imperial commander had given in 10,000 years. Retreat. Full retreat. As the Imperial ships fled, leaving nearly 100 destroyed or captured ships behind, General Wilson turned to his staff. "Send the message to all commands," he ordered. "The solar system is secured. Begin Operation Exodus." Humanity had won its first major space battle, but they weren't going to stop there. The captured Imperial ships, the stolen technology, the innovative tactics, these were just the beginning. "Now," Wilson said, looking at the battle map, "we take the war to them." In the darkness of space, Earth's fleets prepared to leave their solar system for the first time. The Empire thought they had seen everything humans could do. They were wrong. The news spread through the Empire's conquered worlds like wildfire. Humans had defeated the main Imperial fleet. At first, no one believed it. Then came the videos, the battle recordings, proof that the impossible had happened. On the slave world of Blue Star, the reptilian natives watched in secret as human ships destroyed Imperial defenses in new and creative ways. Their leader, Master Green, felt hope for the first time in centuries. "They fight like nothing we've ever seen," he whispered to his council. "And look, they free every world they capture." In the Imperial capital, Admiral Jones brought more disturbing news to the High Council. "It's not just the humans now," he reported. "Rebellions are breaking out everywhere. The humans are sharing their technology, their tactics." Council member Blake slammed his fist on the table. "Impossible. Our control is absolute." "No," Jones corrected, showing holographic images of uprising across the galaxy. "Our control was based on fear and superior technology. The humans have shown everyone that we can be beaten." On Earth, General Wilson hosted an unusual meeting. Representatives from 20 different alien species, all former slaves of the Empire, gathered to learn Earth's military secrets. "The Empire beat you because they're predictable," Wilson explained to the alien leaders. "They expect you to fight like them. So don't. Fight like us. Fight dirty. Fight smart. Fight different." Human military advisors spread across the galaxy, teaching other species their ways of war. More importantly, they taught them how to think differently about fighting. "Your small size isn't a weakness," a human instructor told a group of tiny insect-like aliens. "It's a strength. The Empire can't hit what they can't see." "Your slow ships aren't a problem," another human taught a group of heavy-world aliens. "Turn them into mobile fortresses. Make the enemy come to you." In orbit around the Empire's biggest shipyard, an Imperial Guard fleet watched for human attacks. They were ready for small, fast ships hiding in solar radiation. They were prepared for asteroid weapons and AI drones. They weren't prepared for what actually came. Seemingly peaceful trading ships, crewed by various alien species, suddenly revealed hidden weapons. Maintenance crews turned out to be saboteurs. Even space junk became weapons, guided by simple but clever programming. Humans didn't just teach them how to fight, Jones reported as another shipyard fell. They taught them how to think like humans. Now every species is coming up with their own tricks. The Empire's response was predictable. They sent more ships, bigger ships, stronger ships. But that's exactly what the humans and their allies expected. They never learn, Wilson said, watching reports of another Imperial fleet falling into another trap. They keep trying to win by being bigger and stronger. The rebellion spread faster than anyone expected. Species that had been enemies under Imperial rule now worked together, sharing their unique abilities. Worlds that had been stripped of resources became hidden bases. Everything the Empire had used to control their subjects was turned against them. In a dramatic move, human scientists shared their most powerful weapon: information. Using captured Imperial communications networks, they'd broadcast the truth to every world in the Empire. They showed how the Empire could be beaten, how freedom could be won. "You don't understand," Jones told the increasingly desperate Council. "The humans aren't just winning battles, they're winning hearts and minds. Every world they free becomes a new ally, with new ideas, new ways to fight." The Empire had ruled through order, through making everyone the same. Humans showed the galaxy the power of being different, of thinking differently. On a dozen worlds, 100 worlds, 1,000 worlds, the story was the same. Imperial forces found themselves facing not just human tactics, but new tactics from every species. No two battles were the same. No defense worked twice. "Begin the final phase," Wilson ordered, looking at a map of the Empire's remaining strongholds. The free worlds had formed an alliance, with Earth leading not through control, but through inspiration. In the Imperial capital, the High Council received a message that chilled them to their cores. It showed the combined fleet of the Free Worlds Alliance, human ships flying alongside vessels from every species they'd helped free. The message was simple: your empire of sameness is over. The galaxy is embracing change. The Empire had spent 10,000 years making everyone the same. In just a few months, humans had taught the galaxy the power of being different. And the revolution was just beginning. The Imperial capital world's sky turned dark as thousands of ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The combined fleet of humans and free worlds filled the space above the once mighty Empire's last stronghold. Each ship was different, reflecting the unique nature of its crew and their way of fighting. In the Grand Council chamber, the Empire's leaders received a simple message: surrender or run. Admiral Jones stood before the Council one last time. "We should surrender," he advised. "I've studied them enough to know what happens next." "Never," Council member Blake shouted, but his voice shook with fear. "We ruled for 10,000 years. We cannot bow to primitives." The response came immediately, but it wasn't what anyone expected. General Wilson's hologram appeared in the Council chamber. Behind him stood representatives of every species the Empire had once enslaved. "We're not here for revenge," he said simply. "We're here to offer you a choice." The Council chamber fell silent. This wasn't how wars were supposed to end. The Empire had always given its enemies two options: submit or die. But humans, as always, did things differently. "Your first choice," Wilson continued, "is to run. We'll give you enough ships to leave the galaxy. Go explore the universe. Learn to change, to adapt, to grow." "And the second choice?" the Council leader asked quietly. "Join us." Wilson's answer stunned the chamber. "Not as rulers, not as subjects, but as equals. Share your knowledge. Learn from others. Help us build something new." In orbit, the combined fleet held position. Human ships flew alongside vessels crewed by every species imaginable. Former slaves now commanded powerful warships. Former enemies worked together, each bringing their unique strengths to the alliance. "This is what you never understood," Jones told his fellow council members. "Humans didn't just beat us with weapons. They beat us with ideas. While we forced everyone to be the same, they taught the galaxy to embrace being different." On planets across the former empire, celebration broke out. The messages from the capital spread quickly. The war was ending not with destruction, but with an offer of peace. "But how can we trust them?" Blake demanded. "After everything we did, The answer came as the human fleet parted, revealing something extraordinary. The ships they'd captured, the worlds they'd freed, nothing had been destroyed. Everything had been transformed, improved, made better through cooperation and shared knowledge. Look at what we've achieved in just a few months. Wilson's hologram gestured to the fleet above. Imagine what we could do together in years, in centuries. The council watched in amazement as examples appeared before them. Imperial technology combined with human innovation. Alien wisdom merged with Earth's creativity. Everyone contributing, everyone growing, everyone changing. Your empire was strong because it was rigid, Wilson explained. Our alliance is stronger because it bends, adapts, grows. We don't need everyone to be the same. We're better because we're different. In the end, the choice wasn't as hard as they thought. The empire had ruled through fear of difference. Humans showed them the power of embracing it. We surrender, the council leader announced, and we choose to join you. The great imperial fleet, once the terror of the galaxy, was transformed. Its rigid formations broke apart as ships were shared among the alliance members. Each vessel became unique, modified by its new crew to fight in their own way. Admiral Jones watched as his prediction came true. Humans hadn't come to destroy the empire. They'd come to transform it. General Wilson stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the imperial capital world below. Send the message to Earth, he ordered. Operation Freedom is complete. The galaxy is free. But it was more than free. It was changing, growing, becoming something new. Humans had taught the galaxy that strength doesn't come from being the same. It comes from being different, from adapting, from working together. The warning that had started it all, submit or face destruction, had been answered. Not with destruction, but with transformation. Not with fear, but with hope. And somewhere out in the vast universe, other empires of sameness waited to be discovered. When they found them, the alliance would be ready, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to show them a better way. The age of empires was over. The age of diversity had begun.